Hi, I'm Charlie. We covered 4 points last week, the last one being the age of the Earth, that it is not as old as we are told. There's many indications of this. Back in the late 70s, we launched Voyager to go out and study our solar system close up. And it was interesting, as it flew past Saturn, they were distressed that the pictures they sent back did not match what they figured should have been there. The rings were twisted. Some called it braided. They had bands in the middle of them. And at the time, they never told us why they were upset about that. And it turns out that if the universe, if our solar system was in fact 4.5 billion years old, those rings should be very homogeneous, like you see in this picture. But they are not. They're banded like spokes in a wheel. The other thing that's interesting is a thing called the Robertson pointing effect. And this is that photons streaming out from the sun strike small particles in space, causing them to slow down. And there's an asteroid belt out by Mars that should be totally separated, that is, the smaller rocks separated from the larger rocks. But what we actually see is the rocks, big and small, are right together, which would imply again that the universe is not as old as we have been told. Okay, let's come back to Earth. If the layers of the geologic column was built up slowly over 560 million years, there should be lots and lots of space dust buried on each layer of that. And interestingly, we find a good number of space dust on the surface, virtually none within the column, which of course would imply that the column was built up in a very short amount of time, like say maybe during a worldwide flood. The other thing that's interesting is if you dig through the geologic column again, you will find trees that pass vertically through supposed millions of years of mud laying down. Now logically you'll say no tree is going to stand there long enough for the mud to build up around it for millions of years, stand there in a riverbed. Second thing to consider is the Earth's magnetic field has been decreasing. We've been measuring this for 150 years. And it is decaying in an exponential rate. Right now it's at the level of about a 0.4 Gauss. That's a measure of how strong the magnetic field is. If you take it back some 10,000 years, it's in the range of about 7 Gauss, which is pretty strong. If you take it back, say, 2 million years, you've got the magnetic field is creating firestorms on the surface of the Earth. If you go back 1 billion years, the temperature of the surface of the Earth is well over that of a white star. Obviously, could not be 4.5 billion years old. The spin of the Earth is an interesting one to look at. Each year, the clocks are adjusted in the range of about a second. The Earth is slowing down about a second a year. Take that back, that means way in the past, 4.5 billion years, the Earth was spinning quite rapidly, maybe throwing folks off at the equator. We don't know, but it was much, much faster than what we have now, which makes things very different. Other things, if you look at the ocean, it's getting saltier. Also the sediment that we can see blowing out over the ocean. There is not enough sediment at the bottom of the ocean to justify billions of years. The Mississippi Delta is also carrying mud down the Mississippi out into the Gulf, and there's not enough mud out there to indicate that that river has been running for 4 billion years. The helium in the atmosphere is not enough to match what we can see helium being manufactured right now. And finally, one thing that's rather interesting, I like asking folks, how many seconds do you think there are in 4.5 billion years? We're told that's how old the Earth is. Well, you get your calculator and you multiply that out, you'll find that there is about 1.4 times 10 to the 17 seconds in 4.5 billion years. Not that big a number when you realize that Sir Frederick Hoyle said the chance of the chemicals of which DNA occur were to show up in the same place at the same time is like 10 to the 40,000. And that's the chance of that happening is going to occur in 10 to the 17 seconds. This is impossible. Just when you look logically at things around us, it makes no sense. So that we have to consider that the Earth was put together as we see it in a much, much shorter time than we're being told. Okay, what I have here is a marvel of nature. I take this coin and I'll start flipping it when I'm talking to the kids, trying to keep these statistics as simple as possible. And the amazing thing with this coin is it comes up heads every time. Well, I don't have to flip it but 5 or 6 times, and every child in that room accuses me of having a doctored coin. And a picture of that. But with evolution, we're told that no, we can flip it 50,000 times, and every time it comes up heads. Logically, it doesn't make sense. We're told to consider what we believe deeply. And I challenge you, as we go through this series, that you think about what you've been told in the past, what you're being told. What makes most sense? Are we being fed a double-headed nickel? This is Charlie. Talk to you next time.